we move on to story. It's going to be a little bit more daunting, but it's going to be a lot of fun to build it out. Let's build story fields. Let's go ahead and just scrap all of that. Don't need it. Don't need it. All right, we will add a bullet here. There we go. And now let's go to a story. Let's go back home. Let's go to a different story this time. Go to an Adam Driver, who is a really cool Star Wars guy. And let's start seeing what fields we would need to make up this story. So right off the bat, we know we need tags. We need the ability to add multiple tags. So there's going to be a tags field, which is going to be a reference to this content type, right? So it's going to be a tag content type reference, okay? And then we need a title. And then I won't add this here. I think this is implied as well. You know what? I'll add it as a subnet, like a little bit, right? So I'll just call it a tag reference. And then we need a title, and we need a subtitle, it looks like, right? Because that's what that looked like underneath. We need a person. So just like we have a person content type, we need a reference. I mean, just like we have a tags reference, we need a, so we'll call this a tags reference. Okay. We need a person reference. So the ability to call out one or more people, one or more tags. We need a date field. So, you know what? I think Sanity is going to give us these out of the box. I think I'm going to hold off on adding these as manual fields for now, because I think Sanity is going to give us a way to say, when was this published? That's what the posted date really means. When was this published? Versus when it was, like, actually added to, actually edited, like last updated, right? So I think Sanity is going to give us the out of the box. We're going to hold off for that. The next piece is probably what I see as my favorite part of any of these new modern article templates. I call them story elements, right? A lot of people call them Lego blocks. They're called components in a lot of places. I've seen them called paragraphs. And what a component or an element, as we're going to be calling it, an element of a story is anything that represents a single row, right? A row, a chunk of digital content, right? So this HTML, this rich text here that I have highlighted, technically that is an element. This image, right, with its caption, you can click it, it goes to wherever, you can see the full thing. That is an element. Okay, this here is an element, another text element. This is a social Twitter element of some sort, right? These are elements, and we want these elements. We want the ability to place these elements. Now, here's the thing though, right? Back in the day when you were working with elements, there was kind of some limitations in place. If you were to make a template, you were sometimes forced to say, well, you see how there's a paragraph here, and then a second paragraph here, and then an image, and then a paragraph here, paragraph, then social? You would have to have baked that in back in the day, where you would say something like, if we go here, pull up another one of these. Like, you would have to do something like this. It's crazy. Hold on, let me just undo that. Undo that. You would have to do something like this back in the day. You'd have to be like, so pretend this is the HTML, right? It'd be like graph. This is my template. This is my code. It'd be like a graph, and then another graph, and then an image, and then a graph. You know what I mean? And then social. And now every single story that you would have on your site would have to follow that structure. They would basically have a slot. Right? That's what they were called too in a lot of CMSs that I dealt with back in the day. Zope, News Cycle, those guys. They called them slots. And a slot was baked into the template. And what they did was they gave you a bunch of data, and they said, hey, there's going to be a pocket in your data that has an image. Just dump it into slot 3, right? It'll always live in slot 3. And then folks started saying, well, what if I want it in slot 7? Or what if I just want to pick and choose where it goes in general, right? And that's where the concept of elements and components came in, right? We can actually pick and choose which things we want to stack in order to make up our story, right? And it has to make sense contextually. So we're able to do that. We have the power to do that. So let's go ahead and get rid of this. Let's go back over to our story. And we know the next thing we need is our elements, okay? And now I want to talk about what elements we need. I imagine there's a feature. Let's do this too. I think there's a featured image in here. Most of the time, like if we go to like the USA Today example that we have, most of the time news websites, good stories have really good, compelling featured media. Okay, featured media being in a prime position of the page, like the first thing you see. So the featured slot. That's legit. It could be an element, but it's usually a, you know what? We're gonna make ours an element. No, I don't want to make ours an element. You know why? Because I would want my featured media in this position to look and feel different than the same content type. So like, let's say I had a video in my story, or let's say this is an image. I may want to do something different with this featured image than I would with this image. So we're gonna try, you know, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna see if we can pull it off. If we can just say that one of the types that we have is featured media, and then that can choose from either an image or a video, and then we're gonna see if that works. Okay, so we'll just say that's our first thing, a featured media piece. The second thing is obvious, right? We need a text block. Oh, it's text block, and that's just gonna be like our rich text editor, WYSIWYG editor. We need an image. We need a gallery, because what if we had a bunch of images, right? What if we wanted it to be so that when you click this, there was like 8 that I saw one of them earlier, actually. Yeah, here's one. Here's a really good example of a gallery. This isn't just a single image, it's a gallery, right? So when you click this, it goes to a whole presentation. This looks beautiful, right? They have oh man, this is so good. They got the whole little section over here with all the different caption information. I guess you can turn it into a grid if you're getting lazy. Yeah, this is pretty clutch. So yeah, so we're gonna have we'll need to tinker with that. I think there's probably some room for us to play with this, to be like, well, I'll do an image type, and then from the image type I'll choose whether it's a single image or a gallery. I don't know. For now, we'll just assume that we're gonna do let's just assume we'll do a gallery, okay? And maybe on the front end, we could do some logic that says if there's only one image in that gallery, then this is how it behaves, right? Because you don't need fancy controls. You know, oh wait, never mind. I think we'll use featured media. Let's just call this media. Doesn't even need to say featured. We'll see if we can get away with not having a different look and feel for the media in the feature position versus the other positions. And then for video, we don't need that now, right? Because we have media, which covers those two. So after gallery, what else can we see them adding here? Looks like here's a ad. So on the web, these are usually called call to action button blocks, right? So it tells the user to do something, like it encourages them and entices them to buy something, spend something, whatever. So I think we are gonna want that. I think we are gonna want to like inject ourselves into the minds of our users. So we will add that as well. And that can show up anywhere, right? You can imagine in the middle of this, it says like, click here to learn more about Miles Morales, right? So it's like a self ad. Not to be confused with actual ads, right? This is like you advertising yourself, okay? All right. So now that we have this first level breakdown, we need to go further with these elements because this is not enough, right? So if we go back to this guy, right? This is our let's not use this one exactly. Let's go back. Let's pull up a different one. Let's go back to this one. Not that one. There was one where there was just a single image. Oh, nice. Dragon Age? Is this Dragon Age? This is totally a new Dragon Age. Wait, unless Dragon Dogma has just always been like Dragon Age.
Reveals and more. We got.
Oh my god. Alright, I'm a huge Dragon Age Inquisition fan, so That is kind of exciting to see. So we do know that we have so this is a featured video slot here though. You see how it expands even farther out? Let me refresh this just to make sure. Yeah, so we do need this concept of like a featured position where the media looks a little different than it does when it's in story, right? So it could be the same media, but it just feels a little different. So we will have a featured position here. So I think media is fair. I think what it means though is that featured is basically just a reference to media, right? So featured media, what we'll do is we'll use whatever the model is that we come up with for media. We'll also use it for featured, but the front end will dictate whether or not it looks a certain way, right? So that's how we'll handle that. But yeah, you will be able to add featured media and maybe perhaps choose from existing media that you've created on other stories or add it to the system. I'm not sure yet. We'll figure that out when we get there. You know what this is making me think though is that we probably do need this concept of a content type that is a gallery. Because am I ever going to want to use this gallery on any other story is the question. Probably not. Probably not. Let's not go down that rabbit hole because it can get really tricky. So we'll just do featured media, which we know is going to be image and video. We'll do media, which is image and video, and we'll figure out how these play together in a bit. Text block is probably just going to be a text field, right? Text area field. Gallery is, let's think about that actually. Hang on, we're not done. Okay. We're not done. So featured media, what does it include, right? It includes more than just let's go back. It includes more than just I think there is, that's not a good example. Let's see if we have a featured media slot here now. Man, for a video game website, they really don't have many, like artsy fartsy articles. Let's go to a game spot. All right, yeah, let's see. That's a beautiful one. Nope. Well, maybe there's not a lot with featured here. All right, wow, perfect. That's a great example we just stumbled on, okay? So it looks like they have a title. This is the title of the story, though, I bet. Yeah. So maybe we don't need to classify our media. Right? I think we probably should do some metadata for accessibility. So we'll do a title, a description, and then we'll do a media array. Right? And the media array will allow you to choose from one of these. Okay? You can have a bunch of different pieces of media in here. And then the same for media, right? We'll do a title. Maybe what we can do is say, because this data structure is too similar for us not to take advantage of this, right? So I'm starting to wonder if what we do is say if the very first element is a media type, then we just change what it looks like in the styles. You know what I mean? And that way we get away with just having one data structure. I think that's what I'm going to do, guys. I'm going to just I'm going to get rid of media. Yeah, I'm going to get rid of media, and I'm just going to call this media, right? Instead of I'm going to get rid of feature media, just call it media, and media will have a title, a description, and then media will be an image, and we know that this image has a image file, alt. Let's make this a little wider. It's getting really robust. Alt and caption. And then video is going to have a video file, probably a transcript. What else? It'll be cool if we had duration, but I'm not going to worry about that right now. Video file, a transcript, and it's not caption. I don't know if videos have captions. I think they just have descriptions, right? So I'll do a description. All right. Yeah, so that feels right to me. That feels better to me. That media is a title, a description, and then an array of media types, and the two that we're going to support are image and video. All right, perfect. And then we have our concept of a gallery. Now, a gallery, in my opinion, is literally media, but a bunch of media, right? So it's going to be an array of media. That's it. So assume everything under here, right? So if we go ahead and grab all that, basically this is our, you know what I mean? Like this is our like straight up, like this is our, like an array of these though, right? Like you can have a bunch of different media blocks. Because one piece of media can be like a bunch of things. Now, we could also say, hey, let's not do that. Instead, let's do just the image, right? So we could just say an array of images. And that would be, actually, that's going to be a little easier for us to deal with anyway. So let's just do that for now. Image, alt, and caption. Well, all right, I just blew that up. Uh-oh, come on, Canva, you're letting me down right now. Yeah. Alright. And then, yeah, we'll get rid of the video for now. We don't need that. Alright. It would be cool, but we don't need it right now. And a call to action requires what? What do we need for a call to action? So we saw one in here. So for their call to action, they have a bunch of stuff, right? They have a title, they have a subtitle, they have a summary, a description. They have the actual call to action button, which is a link type, which we haven't even talked about yet. And they have, actually, let's go back here. We are missing something on our story, which is we need a way to get to the story, and that is called a slug or a URL alias in some cases, or a link. We're going to go with slug because I know that is what Sanity uses, if I'm not mistaken. All right, so going back to this, do we want a robust CTA like this? I don't think so. If we need to enhance it in the future, so be it. For now, we're going to do something really basic. We're going to say our CTA is just a blurb of text. So, hey, you should click here, and then a button for you to click. So if you think about that in template form, it's always going to be something like this, right? Where you have, well, like this, right? Here, let's actually scope this out a bit more. It's going to look more like this, I think. If we got rid of him, and we got rid of, actually, if we got rid of that too, ours is gonna look more like this, where we have a title and a link object. And maybe we should keep the description. So title and description. All right, but we don't need this little, that. Let's just do title, description, and link, okay? So a CTA is a title, description, and a link. And a link, as you know, is more than just one thing, right? It's actually a link text and a URL, right? Like a hyperlink. So we'll use that, and I think we're good. I think this is a good stopping point for elements.